Hey, I'm Father Josh Johnson, author of Pocket Guide to Overcoming the 7 Deadly Sins, and I'm grateful to be accompanying you in your relationship with Jesus Christ throughout this Lenten pilgrimage. Now that we've learned more about gluttony, it's time to turn to its opposing virtue. It's often easier to add something good to our lives and try to remove something bad, and sin is no different. The opposing virtue to gluttony is temperance. Temperance is the virtue of having self-control and engaging the goods in our life with moderation. Temperance can apply to all things, not just food. Temperance can apply to impulse purchases, entertainment like movies and video games, and even how we spend our time. Temperance and moderation also, they're not about reducing how much we eat, but it's about ensuring that we eat the right amount, not too much or not too little. This will be different for all people, but just ask Jesus to help you discern the best times, the amounts, the context in which to have meals. Eating healthy can also be a form of temperance. Temperance, like all good habits, is cultivated little by little over time when we consistently and intentionally deny ourselves the goods that are presented to us. This can be done by limiting the unnecessary desserts or drinks we consume, or by the fast that we are doing this Lent. You're slowly building temperance each day that you practice these fasts. A few years ago during the Lenten season, I decided I was going to change my eating habits. And I was going to just increase like the traditional fast of the church, where you do one main meal and 2 small meals throughout the day that don't equal a main meal. And I began to notice, like as I did that practice every day, that I had more energy. I felt better. I was able to actually sleep at night. I used to struggle with sleep, and because I struggle with sleep, I'll struggle with getting up. But then now I'm sleeping really well. I'm able to wake up in the morning more energized, ready for prayer. I'm more focused in prayer and able to do ministry better, all because I was more moderate in what was good for my body, right? I was more temperate in what was good for my body. All of us have different bodies. We have different needs for our bodies, and it's going to affect us the way we eat emotionally, spiritually, physically, in different ways. So don't do what I've done, but it's important to understand what's going to work for me. And so for me, moderation with food has significantly helped in every other aspect of my life, and my priesthood, and my ministry, and most importantly, my relationship with Jesus Christ. So I encourage you, just get to know your body and find out, what does moderation look like for you? Live it out and experience the fruits. The gospel, Jesus abstained from eating with the apostles when they offered him food during his visit with the woman at the well. So today, we're going to meditate on the virtue of temperance and turning away from the sin of gluttony as we practice prayerfully reading the Gospel of Matthew. In Matthew 15, 32 through 37, Jesus called his disciples, and he said, "I have compassion for these people. They have already been with me for 3 days and have nothing to eat. I do not want to send them away hungry, or they may collapse on the way." His disciples answered, "Where could we get enough bread in this remote place to feed such a crowd?" "How many loaves do you have?" Jesus asked. 7, they replied, "and a few small fish." He told the crowd to sit down on the ground. Then he took the 7 loaves and the fish, and when he had given thanks, he broke them and gave them to his disciples, and they in turn to the people. They all ate and were satisfied. Afterward, the disciples picked up the 7 basketfuls of broken pieces that were left over. What would you have done if you had been at the feeding the 5,000? Who do you relate to in the story? Are you one of the people listening to Jesus, hungry and waiting? Are you a disciple, asking Jesus where he could possibly find bread in the remote wilderness? Are you someone who has just eaten and is satisfied? Sit with this for a moment and ask the Lord to provide you with the bread that you need today. If you struggle with trusting that there will be enough, maybe ask Jesus for the virtue of temperance. After Jesus performed this miracle, the people in the community only ate what they needed. The apostles were able to collect 7 basketfuls of food that were left over. This is an example of the community living out the virtue of temperance. Just like those in the gospel, we can trust that Jesus will provide us with all that we need. We do not need to fear and take more than is necessary. This is us exercising temperance. And with it, we can begin to defeat the sin of gluttony. I want to invite you to remember that when we eat our meals this week, let's fast from our screens abstain from complaining, and be present to the person sitting with us as we pray before and after each meal. God bless, and I look forward to walking with you tomorrow.